nous avons 260 000 aînés qui résident dans la pauvreté maintenant. Un quart de million des retraités. La grande majorité, ce sont les femmes. Ils résident dans une pauvreté extraordinaire. Mais nous avons une occasion en or pour changer ça. Le 1er janvier, il y aura une nouvelle réduction de taxes pour les plus grandes entreprises rentables. On parle des banques, on parle des grandes pétrolières, et ils vont reçus avec l'aide de M. Harper, appuyé par M. Ignatieff avec ce budget qu'on a été adopté au printemps, une réduction d'impôts additionnelle d'1,5 milliard. Corporate Canada, on January 1st, is going to get another gift, $1.5 billion in additional corporate tax cuts on January 1st. We say, instead of doing that, take half of that money, and you could lift every single senior citizen who's living below the poverty line in Canada today, and you can put them above the poverty line. That's a better way to do it. You probably noticed that in the economic collapse of last year, a lot of pensions got in trouble, people's RSPs were slashed. Of course, the fees that you pay to the people who manage the operation don't change. That's interesting. In fact, a bunch of them got huge bonuses. Millions of dollars of bonuses. But one pension plan stayed pretty darn solid. Which pension plan was that? The Canada pension plan. Our Ontario leader is on top of her file. I'll have more to say about that in a minute. But here we are with the plan that was created. Why did the Canada pension plan get through this so well? Because we're all a part of it. It's very large. It's able to withstand some of the ebbs and flows. And it was managed with a mandate that said, our first objective is to make sure that the retirees get the payments that they're counting on, as opposed to the gambling game that goes on the stock market. And so here's what we're all proposing, the labor movement and the New Democrats, and the seniors organizations who are coming around to this, groups like CARP and other groups. We're proposing that the Canada Pension Plan should double its monthly. We should work to double the payments from the $900 a month that you have now to $1,800 a month, and we should do that over a period of time. It would involve the sponsors of the plan, all of us contributing a little bit more. But you know what? We'd actually be contributing about the same amount as the fees that are being taken on Bay Street when we put our money in private pension. I've got nothing against the hard-working folks, many of whom are young people, they've got business degrees and commerce degrees, who are working in the financial sector. In fact, it's a very important sector. And what we're proposing is a more stable financial sector. One that doesn't see these massive rewards to the gamblers at the top, but one that provides good financial services for all Canadians and makes sure that the working conditions are fair and decent for the people who work in those industries as well. Now I have to talk about one issue that's right in front of us, and that's this new tax. You know, you gotta love the marketers who come up with certain phrases, eh? Harmonize. Harmony. Yeah, let's have a little four-part harmony. Well, this is a two-part harmony that's being sung. It's a two-part harmony with Stephen Harper and Dalton McGinty.
Yeah.
And there's nothing harmonious about it. It is an attack on the hard-working families who've been hit hard by the crisis, hitting them while they're down, and moving money from the corporate world onto the backs of the consumers. Now, we already have a lower corporate tax rate than our competition south of the border, and as Gary Dewar used to say, why would you lower your taxes lower than your competition? You're not going to get any advantage if you're already lower. But if you put a burden on the backs of the people who are trying to heat their homes, or trying to provide the basics for their families, you're doing the wrong thing. And that's why we are mounting an attack against this HST. But I want to credit Andrea Horvath and the NDP team for the attack that they have launched. You know, we had, I mentioned that by-election before, and our long-distance swimmer, Finn Donnelly, but one thing is very clear in that election, and that is because this same thing is being done by Premier Campbell. Over there, the harmony is Campbell and Harper, and it's no prettier to listen to, believe me. It's a 7% increase there, and in that by-election, our campaigners on the ground took that issue right to the doorstep. And it was confusing for people at first. But because people had knocked on doors and walked through and talked people through it, face to face, and said, look, here's the actual facts, people were coming over to support us. Normally in that by-election, we might have expected, like when we had Don Black there, I think we got 41 or 42% of the vote. Well, we had signs up. When I was out there just before election day, there were huge signs up on the streets saying, no HST, vote NDP. The result was that the New Democrats got 50% of the vote in that by-election. Anywhere from 5 to 10% higher than we would have expected. Well, let's start to imagine an Ontario election or a next federal election where we get 10% more votes than we might have expected. Well, you start getting into that range and you start talking about government. You start talking about growing the downtown. We've been sending mailings into our ridings about the HST and explaining what it's all about. We have never had, and I've been in politics for a number of decades, I have never had such a volume of response on any issue ever. People are with us on this. So if we roll up our sleeves and get out there with the most ambitious campaign ever put together, I think we can stop this HST. I think we can stop it.